Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, in whichever part of world you are. Today I am coming online from Singapore. bim.man came to BIM trip for Singapore. And Singapore has a very unique and special character when it comes to BIM in Asia. I'm sure many of you might not be aware, or somebody of you might be aware, but BIM standards in Singapore came in existence as early as 2012. 2012. So that is like 2012, like almost 11 years ago. And that is why Singapore is important when it comes to BIM implementation in Asia. It is a country we all should look up to. They have a very streamlined, detailed BIM standards, and now they have released version 2 as well. And I was here for one of the BIM conferences, and I'm coming online for that BIM. From that BIM conference, the conference is over, and I was looking the city. I thought I'll come online and say hello to all of you. Why Singapore is important, or why Singapore BIM standards are important, is they are debunking the biggest myth around BIM. Many of you might have heard this software is BIM, or that software is BIM, or this file is BIM, or that file is BIM. This file has to be submitted, that file has to be submitted. It's all myth. It's all myth. BIM has nothing to do with kind of software you use. BIM is not about only creating 3D model. BIM is not about having a particular submittal. BIM is all this and much more. Do you know that Singapore BIM standards, which are Asia's oldest and most robust, and they have version 2, don't mention .rvt or .plm. That means there are two big BIM softwares in the world currently, Revit and ArchiCAD. One is .rvt file, one is .plm file. And you'll be surprised that Singapore standards don't mention .rvt or .plm anywhere. You can go online and read yourself. They talk about IFC, which is like common standard. And I also feel as an architect that IFC should be the way ahead. Why we have to be software specific? Software, we have to be generic. We have to have open file type. Tomorrow, if we don't like X software, we should be able to use Y software. And if we don't like Y software, we should be able to use X software. Why on earth we are pushed, architects or any professionals are being pushed by people asking for a particular file type? If somebody tells you that you have to submit your file in so and so file format, let's say .pln, .rvt for that matter, ask them what is their BIM execution plan. If somebody is talking about file type and not BIM submittals, not information requirements, not project information requirements, not execution plans or BIM manuals or BIM execution plan, if they don't have all these things and they are just asking a particular file type, that means they are not doing BIM. They are driven by some marketing gimmick that this is BIM, that is BIM. But they are not doing BIM. I'm sorry to debunk this myth, but it's a fact. The moment somebody talks about a particular file type, you can talk about a particular file type, but you should know very clearly what is your AIR, PIR, and EIR. If somebody don't know all these words, I'll talk much about these words later on, but if someone doesn't know all these words, that means something is wrong. That means they are driven by some marketing gimmick about BIM. So, again, I'm very happy that I attended this conference, which talked about future of BIM, which talked about there are various possibilities with BIM. The conference also talked about AI and how it is going to drive future design iterations and how it is going to even help doing fast renders and all those things. So probably, if you go online and do some research, you'll come to know about that, how AI can, quickly generate renders for you for your design options and early design phase, or how AI is going to help you to do design iterations in near future, very near future. The conference also talked about importance of not having monopolies in BIM world. There should be open standards, open file types, and everyone should be able to use the choice they have about their tool. So tool is, I mean, let's say I want to go from Singapore to Mumbai. I can go via flight, I can go via cruise, I can go via, I mean, other means, chartered flight also. In flight, I can go via Singapore airline, I can go via Indigo, I can go via some other airline. So that airline is your software. Your wish to go from Singapore to Mumbai is entire journey. It's called BIM. You reach Mumbai safely to your house is called BIM. From an unknown territory to known territory, that is called BIM. Using which airline or that, so if somebody tells me that you can go to Mumbai and you will reach Mumbai only if you use Singapore airline, there is something wrong. There is something seriously wrong. So that's why Singapore stands a very, very important role in Asian BIM drive. Japan also, but we'll talk about Japan in some other conversation. Also, you'll be surprised coming back to Singapore BIM standards. Even right now, if you want to design a building which is in on your floor footprint, let's say you have 3 floors or 2 floors, your total floor footprint, if it is more than 5,000 square meter, BIM submittal is mandatory. And again, when it comes to BIM submittals, we are not talking about .rvt files or .pln files. We are talking about .ifc files with specific requirements. What is level of information they want? See, the way BIM without no information is just as good as 3D model, BIM with needless information is also mess. BIM with needless information is information overload. BIM with needless information is BIM pollution. There are many BIM files we come across where nobody does sanitation of the BIM information. All the information needed, not needed are there. That means they have modeled it not like BIM, but they have modeled it like a 3D model. Whatever was available in the template, they picked it and they modeled it and they send it via IFC. This also makes IFC larger, conversion time is more, and when it gets converted and comes to other software, the chances of data loss or data corruption increases. So one more thing, when we talk about BIM, it is very important how the source model is made and how it is exported and how it is imported. So all these aspects are important. It's not impossible. It's not rocket science, but all the parties should come together and listen. You know how it works in Singapore? At the time of project kickoff, they have a common meeting of all the consultants. All of them don't talk about their product, what software they use. Somebody is using ArchiCAD, somebody is on Allplan, somebody is on Vectorworks, somebody is on Revit, somebody is on some other software. They don't talk about their software in the kickoff. They talk about, okay, you are an architect. What kind of information I would need from you when you send me your file for me to do further MEP in it? Okay, you are an architect. What kind of information I would need from your file for me or my team to be able to add structural details into it? This is the talk they do on the kickoff day. So all in all, this is more for Indian audience, but there are many countries where BIM is more of a myth driven thing. This is BIM, that is BIM. This is not. If you don't give me this file type, it is not BIM. All this is pointless. If you can talk about level of detail, and that is nothing to do with LOD. LOD is also old, outdated concept. Level of detail in terms of level of information. What information you want? Making 3D model very detailed, if it is not needed, will obviously do a lot of burden on your files. What is needed needs to be defined. Is information needed? Is detailed 3D model needed? Is drawing needed? What is the need of the project? And at what deliverables? At what stage? Which consultant will do what? What is their role? What is their responsibility? Who will check their model if it is up to the standards or not? So all these things need to be known. There are very clear ISO standards also. And Singapore BIM standards are very much in line with ISO 19650, which are ISO standard for BIM practices. There is a lot to be discussed when it comes to BIM and BIM related, depolluting. I'll keep talking, I'll keep sharing, but stay tuned and remember, Singapore BIM standards is something which needs to be followed, studied, understood, and created as a benchmark in India. Thank you. Stay tuned.